And thank you everyone for joining us. We'll give another minute or so, let more people join. But as you guys join, definitely let us know where you're coming from. Um, where you're logging on from, what industry you're in. We definitely kind of want to see what kind of sample size we're working with today.
I see some really great names of companies. I love Junk Musketeers, like Garage Kings.
Yes.
Yes. These are great names.
Yes. Yeah. Insert industry and then like an awesome character. I'll take it. I saw Jurassic Junk the other day. Thought that was cool. Dinosaurs.
San Francisco. Did you survive the weather? Is it Maria? Did you survive okay?
Virginia Beach. So Shauna's been getting it too. She knows how warm it's been over here this side of the country.
And it's cold in Toledo.
Nice. All right. Good to know you survived, Maria. Excellent to hear. All right. Well, yeah, as everyone's joining, we can kind of get rolling here.
Hmm.
Um, and again, thanks everyone for joining. We had a great registration number. See the attendance creeping up, and I'm not shocked to see such a variety of attendees, both obviously regional, but also industry, because our subject today, customer service, it's something that I think is really important to every type of business.
Hmm.
And it seems easy enough, but Karen, I know you and I talked about this. Nowadays, customer service, it's even more important. It can be a
Hmm.
minefield. You can go viral for the wrong reasons, for a simple interaction. You can also get the best marketing in the world by
Hmm.
doing things the right way, for the right reasons, just taking care of someone. So, it really is a really big part of any business nowadays. So I'm not
Hmm.
shocked we had a lot of interest in this one.
Yeah.
So today we're going to explore customer service, and we want to talk basically about how it can be improved.
Hmm.
And so I am here with a dedicated professional. I'll introduce here in a minute. And through her experience in this field, we're going to take a look at basically how to make great impressions, how to improve the customer service. Oh, is my sound still okay? Give me some thumbs up in the chat if everyone can hear us. Okay. All right, cool. Well, I hope you come back soon, Purnell. Um, But yeah, so basically, then we're going to take a dive deeper and look at how we can implement those strategies into business. We don't just want to talk general stuff. We want you guys to hear some specific things that you can do at your businesses to improve things.
Yep.
At the end, we will have a Q&A session. But if you think of a great question, please throw it in the chat. We want you guys to be really interactive today. There should be a few polls out there as well. Go ahead, answer those polls. We'll be able to use that data through the discussion, because we really want to explore this topic. As we said, customer service is essential to all businesses. So the more perspectives, the more insights we have here today, I think the more we'll all be able to take from
Hmm.
it. But so without further ado, my name is Ben Fish. I am the franchise channel manager for Workies, and I'm here with Karen Booz, who is the CFE and franchise director for Answer Connect. So, Karen, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I am Karen Booz, and I am the Director of Business Development. So I get to help people grow their business. And I think that is very exciting. And Answer Connect and I are really passionate about growing businesses one live voice at a time. And we're really just excited to be here today.
Awesome, and we're excited to have you. Obviously, Karen and I have had the pleasure of working together quite a bit because Answer Connect and Workies have a great solid partnership.
Mhm.
And, I think our strengths really suit one another. So it's been a great fit. As you can see there, 24/7 live answering, Answer Connect, helping capture every lead, and that full-time running of the business aspect, it ties directly into what we do. So Workies is a business management platform. And for so many service pros out there, the business that must be managed obviously has to start out with some sort of contact. A lead or a job has to be created, but we need that client to reach out to us first and let us know how we can help. So it's really just a natural marriage there. And I know the perception with personal communication, you had said live answering. And I know with personal communication, there can be this perception that, the phone call is dead, right?
Mhm.
I know the Progressive commercials out there with like the coach. I love them. They are hysterical. Like me and my kids, we have a great time with them. And it's funny. I'm sure we all have friends or relatives that we joke about, why didn't you text me? Or if they still leave a voicemail. And a text can be a great way to communicate, like a short little burst. But I think if you really want to efficiently communicate a lot of variables, a call is still the way to go. So it shouldn't be surprising that in business, the phone call is still very much alive. I think even when you ask people who still, if they still make a call, it's to set up an appointment. It's to make sure someone's going to come out to their house to fix that thing, or, just something really important to make sure it gets done. You kind of have that confirmation, you trust it. So from a business standpoint, you have to be ready to take those calls. If you miss it, someone else is going to take it. So, but at the same time, the world has changed a lot. It's evolved. That initial contact can be so many other options as well. So, really, as a business owner, you have to be prepared on so many fronts to kind of improve your customer engagement. So, Karen, that's kind of where I wanted to start. Let's kind of take a look at the beginning. And improving customer experience can be a broad topic.
Mhm.
So, in getting more detailed, let's discuss kind of offering more personalized experiences for your customers. Tell me some of your thoughts you have on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Ben, that a live voice helps personalize the customer experience because when people take time to make a phone call, they expect somebody to answer the call. They've taken the time to do the research. And let's face it, nobody likes automated calls. So, starting with human engagement will definitely impact your personalized experience. And I think that's what we're here to talk about today is really how do we do that in a way that's going to increase our business, increase our reviews, and increase, future business through referrals.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And personalizing that experience is something that will allow customers to then be more engaged. So I think you're right. A live conversation, a person, we've all been there. You get the automated system and it's a turnoff. You know what I mean? Like you're instantly almost annoyed. So just having that live conversation will definitely enhance that experience. But I'm sure that contact can come through multiple channels, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are multiple media channels. The phone is just one. Email, text, Facebook chats, a chat on your website. Those are all really viable options to engage with potential clients. And, I'm going to say something that may not be quite PC, but different age groups are really working in those channels of their choice. So, my kids, 20s, they text everybody, right? My parents, they still like to know that there's a live person. And I'm kind of in between. So I think that when we look at the channels, really focus on who your audience is.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I want everyone, if you're take a look at the polls too. Let's see if we can match up with the theory there. There's a poll about your preferred channel of communication.
Mhm.
Um, if you guys want to hop in there, take that poll, and then a little later we'll check it and maybe we'll see if there's some individuals brave enough to share their ages, maybe we could see if that's lining up kind of with the information. That'll be fun. But yeah, I think it's a great point. I also think your point there on the automation is important to note as well, because with so many channels kind of to keep track of, how and wanting to keep those interactions personal, how do you see automation and how it can kind of still be worked into that process?
Well, I think there's a lot of options utilizing software like WorkEase, administration, marketing companies. You can outsource a lot of things that you do to assist you in selecting the right partners. And I really suggest, if you're working with suppliers, vendors, partners, finding out who they've partnered with. We've partnered, and we're a great fit to work with other companies who are looking to automate processes. And I know that we both also work with other companies such as billing and marketing. And there's a lot of things that we can do to help people grow their business while taking things off their plate in an automated format.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's something too we can kind of relate to in real life. Tech in general. I mean, we're all, pretty okay with having Alexas in our homes and, allowing technology to kind of make our lives easier and better. If my wife and I didn't share our like calendar on our phone, it would be total chaos with our kids' activities and stuff. So, that is automation in a sense. You know what I mean? It's one of us posting something and the other person automatically knows, oh, okay, now we have something next Friday, or the kids got to get to basketball practice, whatever it is. So it's only natural that that's kind of worked its way into business as well. So I think that's interesting. And you're right, Workies, that's something we really excel at. We've been riding high lately. I don't know if anyone out there's played around with like the Chat GTP stuff, but man, as artificial intelligence just gets so much more robust, it's really impressive to see the things that it can do. But to leverage it for your business, it's more than just having fun. It's making you money. So it's something that's really important. So let's kind of maybe take that a step further. Knowing where the calls are coming from is something that's important as well, and tech can kind of be tied in with that, because you're using the custom LTV you referenced, and you want to apply that in training as well. So
Right.
tell me a little bit more about, the training and why it's important in that process as you're leveraging these technologies or options.
That's a really great question, Ben. I think when you train employees to answer the phone, you should start with a professional, um, happy greeting. They have choices. Your customers have choices, and they've actually taken time to research you and made their choice being you. And I think that your phone should always be answered, but it shouldn't always be answered by you. And I think that's really important to keep it simple and to really bring out, when you're training somebody, bring a script along. Make sure they're always asking the same questions. You can engage with people with a great rapport and talk about the Super Bowl or the weather. But guess what? What if you don't get all the information? So when you train your employees to answer the phone, start with an answer phrase, thanking people for calling. Keep it simple. It's really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Something as simple as a happy greeting, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it really can just kind of break down the walls. I think so many times in these interactions, especially from a customer perspective, they're guarded. People don't want to be sold, or, the prospect of someone coming out to fix something at their house or whatever. There might be some excitement with it, but there's also stress. Something as simple as a happy greeting to start that interaction can really go a long way to just kind of, de-escalate that situation in their mind and open them up. So from a business standpoint, it's nice when you get that information, then it's so much easier to kind of continue that process.
Mhm.
And so, you can even leverage it into technology that can then take that information while they're on the call. If they're trained properly, they're getting what they need. Now that can be pushed into another platform. Like I know with you guys, and we have a system set up to where that information's collected and that's put into the system. Now, all of a sudden, not only is that job on the schedule, but we have all that information. So,
Right.
that is vital when you're looking to run any business. So I think using that technology and the tech to your advantage, kind of knowing who's calling in and getting all the right information and how they found you as well,
Right.
I think is a big thing.
Yeah, I agree. Working with software that will help you track the calls, the referral sources, and really provide information that you'll need for really great ROIs and potentially what you need to tweak to get a better percentage on your close rate. I think this is really important. And as you said, we partner. So when people are taking the information, whether it be an answering service or an admin or yourself, make sure that you're capturing all the information and not having to do a lot of double entry or extra work. This will really help you get good qualified data.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know on our end that data is really so important. For those that are unaware, with Workies and how it operates, we have our own embedded communication suite. We have our own phone system, so it can track, that call and where it's coming from. And so you have, really important ROI data from the beginning of that process to the end. But we
Mhm.
still partner with Answer Connect because the beginning of that process is so important. Yes, we're automatically collecting where it's coming from, and we can provide the actual phone itself. That's great. But if you don't have someone that can answer that phone, then that data, it can't even begin. It can't even start the process. So that's why a partnership and that availability is so big. I think too, the third point that you have here is huge as well. Never missing a phone call, just because that directly correlates to revenue and lost revenue specifically. Um, I we had a guy come to our annual training, has a successful junk removal business in California. He was talking about how when he started out, he's answering calls in the shower, because he just didn't want to miss that call. For us, we have so many clients that tell us the ability to integrate with systems like yourself. So if you can't answer that call, someone else will, or if it's after hours, 24/7, someone's going to be there. Even just the automation of, if a phone call's missed, having the ability to send out a text message, "Hey, sorry, I missed the phone call. Here's a link to our online booking. Would you like to book an
Mhm.
appointment?" That's huge. I mean,
Mhm.
tell us a little about how important it is to not miss out on that revenue.
Well, let's face it, all of us here understand that every missed call is a missed opportunity and potentially missed revenue for your company. And we all understand stories of people answering in the showers or inappropriate places. But when people call your business, it's because they want you. It may be your expertise, it may be your services, it may be your products, but they've reached out and they are willing to spend their money on you. So let that sink in for just a little bit, because we're going to talk a little later about how missing calls can actually cost you and what that cost will be. But again, your phone should always be answered, but not always by you, never in the shower. And you might want to sleep every now and again. So think about your average revenue per client and what even one missed phone call means to your business, and then multiply that by referrals. That's a
Yeah,
starting point. Yeah.
absolutely. Like I know, again, for us, automations are such a huge part of what we offer, and it's because you can begin that process even if you miss that phone call through something like an automation. And then also, to your point, at the end of the process, once everything's complete, you can set an automation to send a text request for review and referral. And so, that life cycle, I mean, obviously we know referrals are going to lead to more. That can be so advantageous to a business, to
Mhm.
just make sure nothing's slipping through the cracks. In your experience, what percentage of your clients are taking advantage of those technology integrations to bridge those gaps and, keep those processes moving?
I would say more than 50% of our clients are leveraging tech. And let's face it, the multi channel universe is here to stay. So take advantage of the technology. And when you're working with partners, ask them, what am I not asking? Right? What can you do that will actually save you time? Because you can never really get time back. You can always make more money. But if you want to eliminate mistakes and missed opportunities, really connect with your suppliers, your partners, and ask them, what should I be asking? What can you do? How can you change the automation process in my daily um, work? And what I would say is then continue with them. If you don't hear from them for a while, ask, hey, is there anything new?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Pretty typically, if you're not keeping up in business, you're behind. It seems simple, but the cost of that is so exponential.
Right.
I'm a late 30s dad, and when I'm behind and I don't know who's performing at the MTV Movie Awards, it doesn't hurt me. Um, if I'm not keeping up with things that can help me from a business standpoint, that's hurting me, and I'm not a business owner. So, it does become so much more important. And if you're saying more than 50% are leveraging, that means if you're not, you're behind is
Right.
the bottom of that. So, um, okay. Well, so, we know that these more personalized interactions are going to increase engagement. We hear all about engagement, engagement, engagement. Explain to us a little why the increased engagement with a customer is a real benefit.
Yeah. I think engaging with the customer immediately eliminates frustration, right? They trust you. They trust that you can solve their problems because you're well staffed. You're a robust company. You can afford to have people reply to chats, reply to emails, reply to text messages, pick up the calls. So, in building that trust, you're on a great starting point for bringing in one new business, but also referrals. If somebody doesn't like you, they're going to tell 10 people, right? If they do like
Yeah.
you, how many people will they tell? And that's on average 1 to 3 if they even share that information with somebody. So engaging with customers immediately is going to build trust that you can solve their problem, and it will eliminate a lot of frustration.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like kind of simple stuff, something as simple as just increasing trust. Well, if someone trusts you, yeah, they're going to tell their friends to use you.
Yeah.
Um, they're going to take maybe an extra second and clear up that misunderstanding or lower that level of frustration.
Hmm.
So yeah, it goes such a long way. I think that last bullet point also is so important. It's so hot right now. Reviews are huge, and they should be. That's something that's become part of all of our lives. If you're going to buy something, you look at the reviews, online. If you're going to go watch a movie or whatever, you're looking at reviews, whether it's your friends on social media, whether it's Rotten Tomatoes, whatever it is. That those have become such a part of our lives. And if you're increasing the engagement and keeping things positive, obviously you're going to increase the possibility of a positive review,
Right.
and so that's going to help your business. How can you see a poor review hurting a business? Kind of explain how those effects bleed out and have more of a negative impact, kind of a negative snowball.
Yeah, I think if you think about your business and think about technology today, right? We're going to wrap this up. There's a lot of companies out there, right, where you can go online and you can order something and it will show up at your house. And I think one of the really important things to do is that people will look at negative reviews before they'll look at positive. Because if somebody took the time to put in a positive review, one, they were asked, which you should always do, or two, they were really impressed by you. So when people look at the negative reviews at that point, they're going to decide whether they move forward with you or not. And think about what that would cost you. What's your average revenue per client? And on those reviews, really think about the engagement that you're putting in prior to the interaction so that the client experience is amazing at every touch point. Engaging with them, making adjustments, personalizing the connection will help you have more reviews that are positive for your company, and it will actually decrease the negative reviews. So think of the negative reviews as a way to better your business. What can we do based on these negative reviews to change that? And then make the change and utilize the negative reviews um, to make the changes. Because if you don't, it will have a negative impact, and that negative impact will be revenue and lost business.
Absolutely. I mean, I think in the chat, business owners, you're out there, scale of 1 to 10. What was your stress level when a really bad review came through? And if you're fortunate that you never got one, that's awesome. But if you have, I mean, I think, yeah, Maria's right. I mean, they're all going to come through. It is so stressful nowadays. So everyone knows the impact. So
Right.
it does make them so much more important. So okay. Now, when we're talking about, we were talking about missing phone calls earlier, and we know it's missing money. That's why it's big. Um, it can lead to negative reviews. So we know that's a bad thing. Let's look at it from the customer standpoint, though, because I think that leads well into our next slide. That missing call from the customer standpoint, it's a trust thing.
Mhm.
And you think about it, if you try to make a call, if I have a leak and I'm trying to call a plumber and, they don't answer, it's like a breach of trust.
Mhm.
When you need help, you've seen that out online, you've seen that on TV, Google search, whatever it is, you expect them to be there in today's day and age. So
Mhm.
not answering that phone, it's so maddening because as a consumer, you almost feel betrayed. Like it hurts. And that could lead to anger, and frustration. So that's the start of that snowball.
Mhm.
Um, so I understand it. And addressing that first bullet point there, I think that kind of nails it. But tell me how an improved customer experience can mitigate that risk, and then how that'll help the business.
Well, that's a great question, and I'm going to share just a personal story really quick. During COVID, we had a pipe break, and I spent 4 hours. Like, I called out of work. I spent 4 hours trying to get a hold of a plumber, and I got voicemail after voicemail after voicemail, and guess what? I didn't leave a message. I got voicemail that were full, so I couldn't leave a message. And quite frankly, when I finally got a hold of somebody, I just went with them. Like, I can't do this anymore. And I think when you improve your customer experience, like, people have gone online. They've seen and read the reviews, both good and mostly bad, and they've decided to go with you. Make sure you don't lose that opportunity. Make sure that you start building trust and building a rapport to continue to move forward in that business relationship and really close the sale. That's what we're in business for, right? To make money. I mean, that's why we're doing this. Is we're in business for ourselves. We want to make money. So I think when customers reach somebody that can help them, if they take time to pick up the phone, make sure that you have that assistance available.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the third point on this too, especially the record conversations aspect, because we're talking from a consumer standpoint, but from a business owner standpoint too. There can be times where recording those conversations really safeguards you. I think it develops trust from a customer standpoint, because they hear the recording. This will be recorded for training purposes or whatever, right? And so I think in their mind, they know, okay, like, yeah, this is, they can't go back on anything they say, right, from a consumer standpoint. But having someone available and answer that phone call like you guys are able to do, having the ability to then record that conversation with what Worky's phone does, all of our customers have then the ability for those phone calls to be answered. And whatever happens on that call, you have a record of it, and there's clear communication or a clear picture of what's going on. So if that issue escalates, there's never a question about what was said, what was promised, whatever. And so that can safeguard you on the business side too. Whereas if you don't have that availability, now this situation that could be negative could, explode into how many variables, and go in however many directions. So I think that's something that can be often overlooked, just kind of safeguarding your business in that respect. All right, so we've talked a lot about the business of, the cost of missing calls. And I know it's so relevant. I mean, we are all so expectant to get everything so quickly nowadays. I remember when I started my sales career like a decade and a half ago at this point. I was working for a car dealership, a Mercedes dealership, and there was some crazy stat. It was like 92% of people that bought cars or something, if they put a lead in online, they would buy from you. They were actually going to buy a car. They would buy from you if you got to them in the first 15 minutes, like this small window. And then after the 15 minutes, it just, it plummeted. And then who knows where they're going to buy it. So I think that's kind of to the same point, just like your story. You know what I mean? If you're not there, if you're not available, you can't respond, someone's moving on to the next thing. And those margins have probably only got slimmer and slimmer as our attention spans have got slimmer. So talk to me about these stats, like what these really mean, what these numbers drill down to. Karen, you may be on mute. It's still showing as muted.
All right, there we go. So Ben, I as I was saying, which you couldn't hear, I think the numbers speak for themselves. I think it's really important for us to realize that 80% decrease in odds of qualifying your lead after 5 minutes is important. And if I'm in the 50 age range, and if I'm making a call, it's probably on my break or potentially from a car picking up kids. I think it's really important that knowing people are calling you, and if you don't pick up the phone in 5 minutes, they will have signed with somebody else. I also think that 55% of people expect a response. And I'm surprised that it's within an hour, because for me, it's much shorter than that. Now, 50%, and I'm definitely in that group, would buy from the company that responds to them first. Again, we have so much technology that is literally automated our life in searching. It's amazing that we can actually research and decide who we're going to go with based on the information provided to us through technology. Now, one of the things that I just want to mention here, and think about this. Businesses are losing up to $1.6 million annually when they miss 30% of their calls. 80% of those calls are going to decrease in lifetime opportunity if you don't respond to them in 5 minutes. So how much would $1.6 million change your world?
Yeah, that's pretty impactful. Yeah. I can't imagine there's any businesses out there today that wouldn't want a piece of that. So, and you're right. It's just, people do expect the response, and it's just real money that's out there just for availability. And when you have the option to have technology to assist you, because we can't all truthfully, singularly be available all the time.
Mhm.
So, to just leverage these options that, give you the option to be available, you could see the real world difference that it makes.
Mhm.
So let's talk about, real strategies. We understand now you got to be available, you got to get your customers engaged. But let's talk about how these can actually be implemented into businesses. Um, we've let's tell us a little bit about, how someone can be ready to address all the specific mediums, maybe, or what's a good strategy to be able to cover all the bases.
Yeah, I think knowing your audience, like who do you want to sell to, right at the beginning, and you're going to want to sell to everybody. So, learning those channels, having people who can help you with those channels, marketing teams, teams like uh, work ease is going to actually ease what you're doing. They're going to automate what you do. And whether that's with a phone call or with a chat or with an email or text, there's a lot of ways that we can connect with people. And by putting that information out there and making it really available to people, have a call to action, an end in sight, so that when you engage, hey, let's set up an appointment. Click a link here. Hey, give us a call. We'd love to be out there. Make sure that what you're putting into the world is good enough for people who are not tech savvy to use, because the tech savvy people, they're going to text you. They're going to chat with you. They're going to email with you. But make sure you have people who can support those processes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the people to support those processes, kind of goes right into our next slide.
Mhm.
Obviously we talked about the training on the phone, having people ready. Let's talk a little more about specific, great training or enablement methods for these strategies and the quickest way to get the right employees up to speed.
Well, first, I think it's important to train people who are going to represent your company, and hopefully, you're able to find a good fit. From the moment your team answers a phone call, answers a chat, responds to an email, it should always be professional and engaging. So, thank you for calling. Thank you for reaching out to us. How can I help you today? Taking time to read, if it's through written channels, taking time to communicate effectively and efficiently will really help you. But think about it at a granular level. All of these things can be managed through consistency and a script. And I encourage all of you to build a script of what you would say on a phone call, in a text message, through a Facebook chat, because really the goal of any business, again, is to bring in more business. So make it easier for clients to get to you, make the communication efficient, effective, consistent. And that way, you're going to be able to set your appointments and pay online through your channels, because the process is going to be the same every time, right? And it all really starts with engagement of a professional nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, okay. Well, Karen, I know that was we kind of ran through a lot there.
Hmm.
But thank you so much. I think that was awesome. I mean, understanding it is one thing, but then hearing some, great pointers on basically how to actually in real life put that in place in your business. That's how you make a difference. That's how you make a change.
Hmm.
So really appreciate the information. I know it was a lot of topics to discover, or I'm sorry, to cover. So anybody that has questions out there, we want to take some time and listen to what you guys think and see how we can help out. So any questions that you guys have, please throw them in the chat.
I think Maria said, could you tell us more about Answer Connect? and I'd love to. Answer Connect is a live 24-hour a day, 365-day a year answering service. And we use live people and live voices because, again, I'm very passionate about when somebody takes a moment to pick up the phone, make sure that they've answered it. And if you can't, hire an answering service. Answer Connect actually integrates, and we partner with WorkEase, and we can push that information in for you. And that takes one more thing off your plate. And I think when it comes to, personal interaction, it doesn't matter whether it's in your office or whether you've outsourced it to an answering service. And by the way, our people are in the US, the UK, and Canada. We can do a great job. And I think it starts with training and have us follow your processes. So for Answer Connect, we take the information, push it into WorkEase, and then we send you emails, text messages, mobile app. We can book appointments for you, and really our call to action is getting you in front of your client.
Yeah, that's I know one of the reasons that on the franchise side, our clients love working with you guys is the fact that, not only are those trained individuals, knowledgeable about the business itself, but then once all that is in, it just pushes right into the system. So, that it's that efficiency. Once it puts it into the system, then it can trigger those automations. So, it really is combining the, positive interaction with the efficiency and the automation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really nice marriage. It works really seamlessly with the two. Wes had a question. He said, when it comes to the first interaction, is personalization or responsiveness more important?
That's a good question. For me, it's responsiveness, but then I want personalization. I'd love to see what people in our group here think. What would you think as a consumer is what is most important to you? Is personalization or is responsiveness? Yeah.
Yeah, let's get some feedback.
Purnell said both, and I agree. If you're quick to respond and professional, you can personalize the interaction with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely important to note. It's not as if you're just the first person to get back. If obviously you're not having a personal interaction, or say you're the first person to respond, or the first company that responds, if you do a quick Google search and they're not insured or they have terrible reviews, you're probably not going to go with them either. You know what I mean? I don't think it's each one is 100% kind of the differentiator, but it's these variables, or I'm sorry, these margins are so thin that we're talking about when it comes to time and when it comes to getting that lead and getting that business. So, these differences are so small, and where you can make that positive impact, each interaction and each variable within the interaction becomes so important.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Purnell's right. They both are extremely important. I would personally kind of agree with Andrea. I think if the responsiveness is there first, then, that's who I'm going to look at first and kind of make those judgments on how are they? Are they professional? Do I like this individual? Are they going to be able to meet my needs? And as long as you can, then you're probably going to get that business. So, I think that's a great point. Maria had asked, what about WorkEase feature of calls and managing missed calls? Yeah, I know we touched on that a couple times, and I didn't want to go too totally into what we do because that's not what today was about. We wanted to get you guys information on how to improve your customer service.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, WorkEase, it's a business management platform, but one of our big differentiators is we have an extremely intuitive automation center.
Mm-hmm.
And so because we have the communication suite, our phones and our SMS messaging tied right into the system, it's our phone. You can link those two together.
Mm-hmm.
So you can set up an automation that basically says, when a call is missed, send client a text message with, your online booking link. And then you can modify the message to say, sorry, we missed your call. If you were looking to schedule an appointment, please feel free to check out the schedule here. So, it's if you'd like more details on our automation center, please reach out. It's something that the platform in general is highly customizable. It's extremely easy to use. I know another reason that we've worked out really well with Answer Connect, we were voted the #1 ease of use platform in the industry and #1 ease of setup. So, it's a great way of saying you can leverage these technologies we're talking about to make a difference in your business, but you don't need an advanced computer science degree to work it. They're very simple to use.
Yeah.
So can you forward your calls from Workies to Answer Connect? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Karen, do you want to tell us a little bit about?
Yes, absolutely. So your phone provider, and if you're getting a number from Workies, that's great. If you're getting a number from Verizon, AT&T, some of the big ones, or even, a VoIP, yes, you can absolutely forward those calls to an answering service like Answer Connect, and we can take the calls for you. We can do it on a variety of ways and options, but once we get that, we'll customize a script for you, and then that information will be put into Workies, and then you can trigger a bunch of responses from that. So yes, you can forward your calls to us. We'll answer them, and then we'll push the information out on live calls for you.
And I love that customization aspect, because I know, part of our onboarding process, if they're using a answering service like Answer Connect, we do training specifically with them so that, the reps understand how to get into the schedule and add that job into the schedule. And it's just like talking to someone at your business. It's that level of training and that level of exposure. So it works very seamless. Roberto asked, what's a good way to make a better impression for customers on text leads platforms like Yelp, where the same lead is being sent to more businesses at the same time?
My question, Roberto, would be, can you respond to that? And if you can't, hire a company that can. Answer Connect happens to be able to be one of them. That engagement, when you go online and enter information into a fill form, they're expecting you to call them, right? So you do want to be the first one. And if, again, this comes down to scripting, whether it's in your office or whether an outside service, capture the information that you're going to need to move forward, and always have a call to action. So when they call, say, hey, can we get somebody out there? Let's set an appointment. If we get a voicemail and we push that information into Workies, then absolutely make sure that that triggers a text, right? Because maybe you put information online and you're at work and you can't take the call. Trigger a text with a call to action. Let's set up an appointment. So the best impression is the first impression, with speed and then with personalization.
Yeah, absolutely. First impressions, we've heard it our whole lives. I mean, it's exceptionally important. So, and along those lines, last question, Gene asked, can you call forward with Workies? Yeah, absolutely. So you're never going to miss an opportunity to make that first impression. You can set up call flows exceptionally simply within the system, and you can do it so if you want specific hours to where it forwards to your cell phone, to someone specific in the office, you can do that. And then you can still integrate, with someone like Answer Connect to where and then once it hits 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock or whatever your cutoff time is, then those calls are going to flow over to, Answer Connect. So, you have a multitude of levels that you can set it up. Very simple to make sure that someone's always available to make that first impression. So, Karen, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Information was fantastic. Everyone that was able to join us as well, really appreciate you logging on, getting some information. And if you're looking for ways that, Karen or myself can assist on implementing these strategies and these technologies into your business, please reach out. We'd be happy to help. and no doubt it will assist you.
Mhm.
So everybody take care. It was great seeing you, and look forward to seeing you again.